Indiana Jones, Indiana It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we discuss the movie Indiana Jones and the Destroyer of Worlds, 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I am Prince Arjuna.
I'm the intern, Jerry Porter.
And I am Curtis Bloes, their guest from the Time Bandits Minute and the Better Off Dead Minute.
Hey.
Awesome. Welcome, Curtis.
Hi.
May I
Good to see
say
you.
Curtis with exquisite taste in movies.
Yeah, really?
We are both big fans of Xanadu.
Oh, that's right. You guys did Xanadu.
We did
Yeah.
Xanadu, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic. You know, I have to admit I've never seen Xanadu, but I've listened to the single thousands of times because it's beautiful.
It's like the movie.
Yeah, see? Okay.
Just like the
I'll
movie.
see it one of these days.
We won that argument, right?
I think so.
I
Sean
think we
Germany-
did.
Yeah.
I think we
That it's a
we
great
convinced
movie?
him that was a good movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens with this movie. See who can convince anybody of anything with minute 59 of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which begins with Spalko noting how fortunate it is that they failed to kill Indy. And it ends with Indy asking who made the Crystal Skull.
So Tommy, I'd like to get a ruling on this.
Mhm.
Spalko enters and she says, you've survived to be of service once again to Indy, to
Mhm.
which he retorts, well, you know me, always glad to help.
Right.
Yes. Can we get I don't know. I'd like to get a ruling on that, Tommy.
I have the note here, and I feel like I've said this exact thing before about other lines in this movie. If you can't come up with a better line than just sarcastically saying, I'm always glad to help, just don't have him say anything. You can just sit there. You can just sit there and like give her a smirk. You could just go, up yours. You could give her the finger while his hands are tied to the thing. I'm always glad to help. Like, there's nothing cutting about that. There's nothing clever about it.
Maybe he
Okay.
really is always glad to help.
Maybe he is. Maybe he's going to
Well,
turn. Mac inspired
It's
him.
interesting. I know we picked this movie and I can be harsh on it.
Yeah.
It's we shine an ugly light on it, or I don't know, maybe it shines an ugly light on us. But
Turns
what
out
it-
those jerks.
but I
Bunch
know,
of
like I'm
jerks.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
not our
I'm
fault, it's the
watching
movie.
this and I checked with you. You're sort of the liver of the podcast. You see
You
how
say the
sick we
sweetest things.
how sick we really are, or how sick the movie really is that we're watching.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this seems like a filler line, like a line that you would write because you need, like in your draft, because you need something there, but you would obviously come back to rewrite it.
Right. Yeah.
You're like, we're gonna have to,
right.
yeah.
You put it in red ink or something because it's not exactly what you wanted to put there, but Indy
Right.
says something.
Like Indy says something here as like a beat, but it's not going to be, well, you know
Right.
me, always glad to help.
Yeah. It would
And
be
it just-
better if Indy in the movie just said, placeholder comeback. Like if you just
Right.
said those words.
Well, I've got a question for Curtis, because Curtis, I know you read this novel, I think, before you saw the movie.
Just right before the broadcast,
yeah.
actually.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm curious. Are the comebacks snappier in the book? Are they exactly the same?
I would say that they are generally. I don't remember this exact comeback. I think the conversation went differently.
Oh, okay.
If I remember right, Pete, did you just recently read this as well? I think the conversation went that she just went on telling him about things.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I started listening to the audiobook when we started recording this like 8 years ago.
Right.
And then I got sidetracked and I never got past like minute
something come up?
15.
Well, in the comic book, he says, "You know me. Anything I can do to help." So it's about as snappy.
Oh, weird. Wow.
That's what the script
Yeah.
says too. So
Yeah.
What
he
he should have
actually-
said, he should have likened himself to a bad penny.
I was
Well,
thinking that
okay.
too. I mean, as cliche as that is, it's at least something. It was at least new. It was a new thing to say in the 50s.
I guess, yeah. But yeah, this is just sort of like,
Well, wait,
I'm not actually glad to help.
Is that what he says in the movie? Because the script, he says anything I can do to help, like in the book.
Oh, interesting.
So does that mean Harrison Ford was like, oh, no, I got a better reading of this line.
Yeah, I'll fix this. Out of my way.
Okay, so here's the thing. This entire scene, I'm noticing, and I don't know what side I'm falling on this. I'm going to allow for a cushion of, time, and what is it, 1957, and Indy is a different guy now. But it's like I'm noticing like he's kind of softer, and he's obviously slowed down, and his speech is slowed down. And he seems a little more tired, and that may be completely appropriate. It's like he did, like if this was Raiders, he'd have a better comeback, but he just is so tired now. He kind of can't. He's just like, it's like, he's as tired as the people writing the screenplay.
Yeah.
But he had better comebacks when he was 99.
What if he's in character? What if he's just an old professor that's been at a college, living the college life for 4 decades, and cannabis is kind of just coming into popularity in 1950?
Could be.
And he's kind of slowed down, but that's because he's just cool now.
And Harrison Ford himself had to get into character somehow. He had to
Right.
into that headspace. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a very Indy line. That's what I'm
No,
registering.
it's a Harrison Ford line.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Harrison Ford just becoming more Harrison Ford every movie and less whatever character he's playing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I can totally see Han Solo saying this, though.
Yeah.
And I could maybe see Indy saying it if it was like delivered maybe differently or something. I don't know. Like I don't know. It's not. It's
if
not.
there was a close
no
up, if there was a close up and he had some harsh highlights, and you could see his beard in sharp relief with some backlighting behind him, and he said it with one of his smirks.
He does. Yeah. Like that. Like there's no. Like I'm assuming he's angry right now, and that he doesn't want to help. But he sounds like he's bored and would rather not help. Like, just like make that much difference.
No, that's it, and that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's completely appropriate, and he's just tired. That's what I'm saying. I'm completely allowing for that to be. You're right. As you know, this is a perfect read of the screen and the line and the character. It's a great movie.
Well, what is Indy?
We're having a wonderful time.
What is Indy's canon age right now?
Oh, that's we should know that.
Right?
Oh, I just brought the podcast to a stop.
No, I think it is
Lord.
58. I think he was born
58.
in 1899, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so
Okay.
I don't know how old you guys are, but I can't imagine 8 years, like tromping through the jungle, tromping down to, flying down to wherever and climbing through a thing, and then sliding through a thing, and then looking at a thing and cutting things apart that are dusty and gross.
Yeah,
I know, right?
That would almost be great if they just fully played that up, and that was just his character the whole time, and like his comeback character just be like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm thinking here at
where's my phone call?
At age 50, I'm thinking about going to the store and going, oh.
Yeah.
This is not what I planned, lady. I don't want to be here.
He reminds me. It's like you, Tommy. If somebody invites you over to their Saturday morning garage sale.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, it's just like me.
It's got cold.
Always
Always looking for a bargain.
What if it's Harrison Ford? Oh no, because it's in the script. Because I was thinking, this whole thing is pretty good meta commentary on the movie itself. I'm trying to remember how the exact line went, but if you replaced Dr. Oppenheimer with George Lucas, this reads almost perfectly like how the conversation might have went when Harrison Ford was agreeing to be in the movie.
It totally could be.
Well, so in the background, I notice, and I think somebody mentioned this previously, but Spalko walks over and turns off a tape recorder.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. So I guess.
Oh no!
I mean, like Indy's in a.
Oh.
He's in like a barber chair.
Or like a dentist chair.
Or a dentist chair.
Yeah.
And so, but the recording. So is this? I guess they had the tape recorder on. I think Pete, maybe you mentioned like the recording everything, but then there's also somebody said that there's also a guy taking dictation.
Well, there's a guy up at the front taking notes, but remember, Mac had a microphone in the last minute and then threw it on the ground.
Yeah, they mentioned it in the novel. They made note of the reel tape recording. He was like, "Oh, so you're recording this too?" And Mac had to. This would have been in an earlier minute that you guys just did. He had to lean over and speak quietly to Indy about stuff so that the tape recorder wouldn't hear him.
Oh,
I guess
they
did do that in the movie. Okay, in the movie they handled that by dropping the mic.
Yeah, but it's not clear that he's dropping the mic. Like they just sort of, you don't really notice any of that.
I wasn't sure it was a mic.
I didn't know it was a mic. I thought it was a whiskey bottle because he's lit.
Right.
Because he's always drunk. No, yeah, they pointed out in the novel.
Yeah.
Pete, you should start reading it again. It's an amazing novel.
I need to. Yeah.
I think I told you at the beginning of this about 3 or 4 years ago when you started that you should read the book. And you would like it.
And I was really enjoying the book. Yeah, I was enjoying the book when I was going through it. But then I was like reading the section
as you
recorded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have always had in my head, she mentioned she quotes the thing from Oppenheimer, and I've always had in my head that he saw the nuclear explosion and he said to the assembled people, "Now I am death, destroyer of worlds," or whatever. But I from doing this minute, I looked it up and it's like years later, he's like, "Oh, what kind of went through my head at that moment was, but now that I think about it, it was like that quote from the Hindu Bible or whatever." But it's not like, everybody gather out. I've got my Neil Armstrong quote all ready to go. Get a load of this.
I think it's weird that an archaeologist would call the Bhagavad Gita the Hindu Bible. Like that. That seems like a weird term.
Yeah. Although maybe in an American movie for American audiences who are not going to know.
Well, see, that's what I thought. I thought, okay, it's 1957. So is that just like he's kind of like, oh, that's what he called the Hindu Bible? Or is it it's like, I have to explain what this is to the American audience.
Well, I think it's that because Oppenheimer knew what it was in the 40s. Like he had studied Hindu philosophy. Mm-hmm. And that was one of the things he tried to find hope in after the atomic bomb is, there's this whole Hindu idea that there's no death and there's no life. That's all an illusion. And he was trying to come to terms with that, with the fact that, maybe, these people didn't die. It's all the illusion of this cycle of death and rebirth.
Well, it could be too.
He sounds a lot more learned than a 2008 American movie audience. So I think Oppenheimer will have a better handle on it than most of us in the audience.
Well, and there could be more thought put into it. It could be that they considered the character a professor, obviously very smart, who's been doing it for many, many years. And he has at some point had to talk to people that weren't students of archaeology. Yeah. And maybe it's just easier to say the Hindu Bible rather than to tear off a name.
Yeah.
Because who in the 1950s diner would know that's called that?
Yeah.
Right.
And
I guess it's kind of cultural shorthand.
And he's talking to someone who is using English as a second language.
That's true.
Yeah.
But she just quoted it. That's so she's balling. She knows what's up. But
she quoted.
Maybe she didn't know it was from the. Yeah, she said it was from Oppenheimer. Maybe
true.
She didn't say it was from the Hindu Bible.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
And I just as a plug here, I if you haven't read it, the Bhagavad Gita is amazing. Like you might think, oh, great, thousands of years old scripture is going to be boring, but it's really like gripping, and it's got, I think, the best description of meditation I've ever seen.
You can't even finish the novelization for Crystal Skull. We're supposed to take book recommendations from you.
It's a lot shorter.
All right.
No, that's a good record. That means you can get through it really easily.
Yeah.
A
really good book, says the guy who couldn't get through the Crystal Skull novel.
You know what? I'm gonna watch the movie.
But yeah, it's. I mean, the The story is interesting because there's this guy Arjuna who's this prince, and he's about to go to war with people that are in his own family and like his friends and stuff. And he stops and asks his charioteer what he should do, and the charioteer turns out to be Krishna, or his name is Lord Krishna, who's actually Vishnu, the creator god. And he tells him, "No, you just got to go ahead and kill them all. That's not up to you to decide. That's up to God to decide." But it's Krishna is not only the creator but the destroyer. So Oppenheimer saw this and kind of saw himself in all of this. Like he was just sort of, it's not up to him to determine if it was right or wrong, even though he's wrestling with that. It's basically up to fate.
Wow.
Interesting.
Did George Harrison also know he was the destroyer?
That's a good question.
Well, I'd say he definitely falls on the creator side. I would think.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people think Yoko's a destroyer.
Yeah.
It's true.
I didn't say it.
No.
Well,
or you weren't the first if you...
Yeah, well, I mean...
That's a very controversial hot take 60 years later.
Yeah, really.
I suppose, yes. I always figured everybody's mad at her, and you're like, I don't know. I mean, he did date her and marry her lover. I mean, it is his choice, I suppose.
Did seem awfully sincere, yeah.
I suppose.
I don't know.
The guy's allowed to do...
thing. All right,
yeah.
Did break up the Beatles, though. Come on.
I
have a history question.
Sorry,
go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Tommy.
Okay, I do have a question about history. She's saying, okay, you guys got the bomb. That's like your nuclear intimidation.
Mm-hmm.
But we now will have scanners like in David Cronenberg's movie. We're gonna have like the mental warfare. Lockdown. Did the Russians have the bomb at this point?
They
in
did,
the mid-50s?
But so before we went to Belarus a few years ago, I read a whole bunch. There's a fantastic author named Svetlana Alexievich, and she wrote a couple books, Secondhand Time and Zinky Boys, and it's all about Soviet citizens like in the 70s and 80s and 90s. Some of it goes back to the 50s, but it's amazing how much like the average citizen believed that the Soviet Union was looking for peace and the Americans were this belligerent power that had, they had nuclear supremacy. So the Soviets always felt like they're the scrappy underdogs trying to keep peace in the world, which is exactly what Americans felt. So
exactly,
I just thought
only one of us can be right.
Yeah. But I thought it was really interesting because her argument here, I think really rings true. Like I think that would have been a very Soviet thing to say. And honestly, they believed that this was exactly, what was the case.
Americans were the aggressors, the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we were 5 or 7 years. I forget when this movie takes place. We were a few years out from being the only person to drop nuclear bombs on civilians at this point.
Yeah.
Well, I guess still are now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a bad record to keep going.
But it wouldn't have been hard to. It wouldn't have been hard to convince everyone that we were the monsters.
No, not
in Soviet Russia.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is she pulls this quote like, "Now I'm the destroyer," and you're like, "Okay, so that's the bomb, right? You guys have the bomb." But is she really referencing their new psychological secret weapon?
I've got some thoughts. Oh,
like
that.
Now we're the destroyer.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. She uses, she uses Oppenheimer's quote for the nuclear stuff, but then she's like, "Yeah, but we've one-upped you already. Wait until you get a load of this." Is she talking about that the Soviets are now going to be the destroyers?
Well, I don't want to steal from the conversation that you're going to enjoy having in about 3 years when you get there. But she seems to be surprised. She seems to be pretty surprised when her head explodes later.
Oh, aren't we all? Speaking of scanners. Yeah.
So
I don't remember
so how
that.
much
That's a spoiler.
So how much, what do they know? Like, what does anybody know about what these crystal skulls do?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody's after the crystal skulls, and it seems like it's just fun to go after as a treasure, but they have some inkling of what they can do. I mean, what's the movie revealed so far? Because I don't remember them ever in the movie, even after this, revealing that the crystal skulls give you telekinetic powers. Or
right.
She kind of has it, but that's kind of her thing.
Yeah, she closed her eyes once and reached her hand out to Indy, and nothing happened at the very beginning of the movie.
Right.
And now she says this line here, and I think those are the two unconnected
soldiers were rushing around while she had her eyes closed to make things move so that she can think that she's telekinetic.
Why, you did it again.
But you know what? Great? Don't tell me that none of y'all have ever sat when it's complete silence and you're like, I'm going to try and make that spoon move.
Oh, easily. Oh, yeah. I had a babysitter. Our babysitter when I was a kid, she would convince us that we had psychic powers and that, a kid across the street would be like, shooting hoops. And like, just, okay, keep concentrating and he'll make it. Keep concentrating and he'll make it. And it wasn't working. Like, okay, close your eyes. Oh, he just did it. You had your eyes closed. Oh, my God. It's amazing. You've got psychic powers.
Nice.
Wow. Talk about the destroyer of worlds.
Destroyer of brains. Thanks a lot.
Well, I'm still stuck on this Arjuna thing here. Is Spalko a good guy? Like, are her purposes pure and good? Like, are they just trying to counter American aggression? And in their mind, they're trying to put the world back in balance. Like, are they like the Jedi?
Oh no, that's not that's not what balance meant. Quit it.
So you think
she has a very severe haircut. I don't think she could be that altruistic.
True.
How did she not know she was the evil one?
Yeah.
But like if this were an American, like if this were a movie and the bad guy was a Russian archaeologist and these were Americans going in to, take the Soviet super weapon so that the Americans would have it, I don't think there's anything they would have done so far that we would look at as being bad.
Right. And I mean, weren't like Americans, like I think the Russians and the US were both actually looking into this kind of thing, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like actual psychic like abilities and things like that.
Yeah.
There's an actual name for it. I don't know if it was as early as the 50s. It was God, what was it called?
There was that awesome Errol Morris series on Netflix about it. It was like kind of like half documentary about the CIA like using LSD on people and trying to get their book. Wormwood, was that what it was called? Oh yeah, the Men Who Stared at Goats. That was like
that was part of it.
Sort of quirky comedy about it, but then it was like Wormwood was sort of like a documentary about a guy who was killed by the CIA or he killed himself. No one really knows. But yeah, they were taking this kind of seriously.
Back in the days of Art Bell, they were also talking about this kind of thing where they were trying to figure out how to spy on people using their minds.
Yeah.
Using psychic powers.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, Pete, are you suggesting that, like, if Spalko had her way, then all of a sudden they can control Americans' brains and thoughts and the world and, just her benevolent heart, everybody would just see, like, cake and rainbows in their brain?
Well, no, but I do like, if she's saying, like, well, maybe we can just get the Americans to not want to bomb us. Like, I don't know what her plan is, but I don't know if she said it yet.
Well, let's dig down on that a little bit more, because it seems like if we're going real life, what their plan was and what our plan was to be able to psychically spy on the enemy and know their troop movements and strengths, where their nuclear weapons were, all of that stuff. If you take it a little bit more fantastical into the Indiana Jones world, maybe they were hoping to be able to use their minds to telekinetically make the bombs not work or something like that, or blow up where they sit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like it was about, does it seem like it was about mind control?
Yeah, I don't know.
She seems like, doesn't she do something in the next, like the end of the scene or something with the skull? And it's kind of like
probably
like she's trying to read Indy's brain or something I don't know. But yeah.
He stares into the skull.
Yeah.
But why does he stare into the skull? I guess you guys will talk about that with whoever's.
I guess whoever's
there.
We haven't watched this movie in like 6 years, so I don't think any of us remembers.
This is fun.
It's a whole movie of nobody knowing what comes next.
I mean, we've been saying it as we go. I remember this much from a year or so ago, that we were having a really hard time, like doing the kind of family circus dotted line of where Oxley had been and where Marion had been and who's got the letter and who sent it.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And Oxley goes and he finds the skull and then he brings it back and he puts it right back where he found it with the dead conquistadors and everything. And I guess here we get the, Agatha Christie moment where he draws everybody into the parlor and spells out so that's why Oxley put the skull back, because he knew you guys were looking for it.
Okay, so hold up.
Yeah, I will hold up because it doesn't make any sense.
Can somebody, this is one of those, so he put it back, but he put it back.
We'll wait.
Finish the sentence.
Okay. No, okay.
Finish my sentence.
Okay.
Indy says.
I just listened to your guys' last minutes here before starting up, and you guys had concluded a year ago. You guys had concluded a year ago that he put it back because he felt morally obligated to like bring it back home to where it belonged, and that was his whole motivation.
That makes a ton more sense.
Dumb. I can't believe we said that.
But what I don't understand,
you said that a year ago too.
But the skull was
so young and foolish.
It was stolen by the conquistadors.
Yeah.
So it's still,
he wasn't taking it back home or anything.
He's not taking
it back to the.
He's giving it back to the Spaniards.
He's giving it back to the people that stole it first.
The conquistadors that were somehow 3 countries over from where they were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But then Indy sitting here ties it to, that's why he was writing return everywhere, returno or whatever. Return to the place where but like that doesn't make any sense, because if he did that, returned it, then why is he still writing return all over the place obsessively in a cell, which is I think where he directly came from before being here in the woods.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm wondering. Thank you, Tommy. I thought the returno was, are you supposed to return it to Akator?
Right.
If he returns the skull back to Oriana's grave, like, there's people around there anyway.
I got the answer.
We already met it. Yeah. And, okay.
Okay. Hey.
I think I've got the answer, because I don't know why. Okay, so this would mean that he knows this. This would mean that Oxley knows that there is a kingdom of a crystal skull, and that the skulls actually really belong there. And that would mean that he just sort of went and returned the thing to the first place, but not the second place.
Maybe, but Indy says he returned it because he knew they were looking for it.
Yeah.
But maybe Indy's saying he put it there so Indy could find it and take it to Akator.
Oh yeah, Indy would follow the clues to that place. If he just stuck it in underneath of a rock, underneath of a fence, next to a tree, Indy wouldn't be able to find it.
Yeah.
But if he put it back where, boy, that's a lot of effort though on a hunch.
Yeah.
So
has Oxley not been to Akator? Doesn't he have didn't he send Indy all these clues on how to get to Akator, but he's never been there? Is that the idea?
Maybe he went crazy before he got there?
Maybe. Oh, okay, no, that would make sense. Tom, that would make sense if he knew where the crystal skull was, but was not able to get there, sent Indy to get it, and he's saying it has to be returned to the spaceship thing temple.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
And then Indy is misinterpreting it here.
And maybe he'll figure it out later.
Right.
Well, Indy's thinking he's hiding it because the Russians are looking for it.
Oh, maybe.
But the thing that I don't understand about that is Indy seems to be conceding that it has power, which seems very un-Indy-like.
Well, hold on, because I got some thoughts about that.
Good point. That's a good point.
They suggested earlier in the movie, and certainly in the novel, more explicitly, that Indy was involved with the Area 54 crash, the New Mexico crash.
Yeah.
So he would know about aliens?
Well, he knows. What's weird is that he knows something about aliens, but he doesn't fully know what. I think during the interrogation, I believed that he knew something. They found
he didn't know what he saw.
Yeah, but he saw something potentially supernatural, but it seems like he left it alone. Or otherworldly, I guess. But he didn't really follow it. Yeah.
But he seems a lot more accepting of that from the get-go than he normally is. Like, maybe it's just because he's older.
He's seen a lot of strange stuff.
Yeah.
How many gods has he directly seen evidence of now?
Yeah.
He's finally like, okay, I can't keep pulling the Dana Scully.
Right.
And if you get into the comic books, then even more so.
Yeah.
It's like God of the Week and those things.
Can we let me throw this out there. Compare and contrast weapon. What weapon? With truck. What truck? I'm just saying, I think, is this the only other time in the franchise that there's that punctuation? Like that punctuated point? Yeah, he says weapon. Be. What weapon?
They're going for that old Raiders magic again. Look at
them. It doesn't land the same way, I understand.
No. Well, they are in the tent in the middle of the desert.
That is true. That was spoken.
Good point. That's great.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, speaking of being in a tent in the middle of the desert, I'm getting really mixed messages here. So, if you are a man strapped into a chair, a heterosexual man strapped into a chair, and a woman leans over and puts her hands on both of your knees, is that a threatening gesture?
Well, she does have a sword.
She does have a sword.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I listened to this over and over again. I think what she says, I believe she says, that skull is no mere deity, darling?
Carving.
That'd be awesome if she called him darling.
No, it's darling. She says darling, and then she puts her hands on his knees and kind of spreads his legs a pinch, like hoo-hoo,
It's a very intimate moment. Like
it is.
Say darling. Yeah, it's a really weird, because it seems like she's trying to be threatening, but at the same time she's being very intimate.
Wait a minute. That skull is no mere deity carving? That skull is no mere deity darling?
Well, the script says carving, but maybe that's another line that Harrison Ford wanted to spice up.
Yeah. What if she calls me darling? A little more
but
Bugs
then
Bunny
she puts,
in this.
as you said, Pete, she puts a very, it's aggressively flirtatious is how I'd put it. It's threateningly flirtatious, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Every single someone tied up in a chair with an aggressor standing over them in a movie has always been in some way flirtatious or sexual.
Yeah.
Even when it's two guys, even when it's two girls. It always has that kind of flavor of someone's kind of helpless and they're titillating the audience just a little bit. When the
first situation like that I pictured when you said that is the Marathon Man, and I can't fit that into what you're saying.
Maybe
Laurence
not
Olivier
Man.
slowly plucking out Dustin Hoffman's teeth. I don't know.
Not quite the same situation.
I guess not.
I think like with James Bond, it does that. But then when it gets to the marathon part, that's where he's smashing him in the nuts. Yeah. But before that part,
does this scene remind you at all of Elsa in Last Crusade?
Yeah. Well,
okay. Yeah, a little bit.
Elsa had some chemistry. Like I don't feel like, and I'm really confused by what Spalko's going for here, because it doesn't seem threatening and it doesn't really seem flirtatious. It almost seems like motherly. She almost seems like she's gently, I don't know, like she's gonna hug him.
Yeah, starting with his knees.
Yeah.
She's going to give one of them knee-up hugs. My mom always used to give me. I have problems.
No, yeah, I think that's just because the casting doesn't work. I'm sorry I love Cate Blanchett.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It is strange. Say more about that, because I haven't been able to put my finger on exactly why that's weird. Like, because she's awesome, and she can be menacing in movies, but I don't know.
Well, we've changed the dynamic completely with the characters in this movie. We don't have a femme fatale for Indy to flirt with anymore because his wife is outside.
Oh yeah.
So he can't.
Although couldn't that have worked? Couldn't it have started? Couldn't they have a flirtation that starts in New Mexico and it's
like if they did sort of
oh my God, Marion's here. Now what do I do? Now it's all weird. I got a whole screwball comedy thing going on.
Yeah.
Well, now wait a minute. Give me 2 seconds to talk this out here. Imagine what this movie would have been if they had as an extra layer of goodness inserted into the script, sort of a love triangle where he and Spalko are kind of adversaries but into each other, and then Marion comes up, and there's that little spark of jealousy that's making everything spark more between these characters.
Right.
Instead of just having her just be this bland Soviet who's just a generic threat.
Yeah. Well, we kind of had that spark in Raiders because the triangle was the Ark and Marion, and now we I think that would have been perfect here, like if it had been Spalko and Marion, because there's no obviously spark with the whatever he's looking for.
Well, we got to let him off the hook a little bit. Had they done that, we would probably not have. We probably would have called him out and kicked him in the shins, saying, "Look, Indy is too old for this now. He's 58." And she's whatever, I don't know what she is, 30 or 35 or something. Like it's, I'm not saying the dude's not hot, but I'm just saying like they would have been sort of shoehorning that sexual tension in. That's all I'm saying.
Maybe.
We would have been upset with that. I think this kind of like the Roger Moore James Bond stuff where he's like 79 and he's sleeping with the 25-year-old.
Well, so make her like B. Arthur playing Spalko.
Or like I said ages ago, it could be Angelica Houston.
Yeah.
Oh,
she's
that
a
would have
little
been
more
perfect.
age appropriate. She'd be awesome in that role. And she and Indy could be knocking boots from across the Iron Curtain. It'd be awesome.
Well, you'd also have to have Harrison. You'd also have to have Harrison Ford into it.
Yeah.
And not just kind of mailing it in.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be chemistry because you compare him to Roger Moore, but even that stuff was more believable just because Roger Moore seemed to be into it for some reason.
He has like an unctuousness to him. I suppose delightfully unctuous. I don't know.
He always had this sort of thing where he's like, "Oh, this is happening some more, yay!"
Yeah.
and into it. Whereas Harrison Ford is just like, "Hey, Marion."
All right. Might as well get married.
I feel like part of the problem with
He jams the ring on her finger.
The softest moment. This isn't too bad.
I feel like part of the problem here, though, is that I feel like Spalko is supposed to be smart and like kind of going toe to toe with Indy, but I never get that from the script. Or from something about her doesn't seem like she's in Indy's league.
They got no spark.
Yeah.
There's no. They didn't. It's writing. It's the writing. We can blame the actors. We can blame the actors all day long, but they didn't have anything to do with each other. They didn't have any. There wasn't any meat on that bone, character-wise.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've talked about this, and Tom, you said this several times. It's like this could have had several different rewrites or go-overs, and it would have benefited immensely. Yeah.
They could have done a lot of things with the time. They could have done a lot of things character-wise with the time they spent going over a third waterfall.
Well, does Indy have any idea what she's talking about here? Because he seems, earnestly and honestly perplexed.
Well, that's what I was getting at earlier, Jerry, because he seems to have been at the New Mexico crash, or at least a part of the team somehow.
Yeah.
And yet she doesn't reveal it in this minute, but when they start talking about the creatures, he's like, huh?
Yeah. He's like, yeah. Knock it off. Yeah. Well, we're still confused.
Yeah.
Usually when an attractive woman puts her hands on your knees, you know exactly what's going on, but I'm flummoxed.
No, that happened to you once, and you blew it.
Oh my God, I did. No, I 100% blew it.
He wrote a whole book about it.
I was there. You were clueless.
I was absolutely clueless in a way that's so stunning when I look back on it. Like, what did I need? What clue would have tipped it over? Like what? Oh, forget it. Got what I deserved.
That happens to all of us.
It does. That's my only consolation.
Hey guys,
yeah.
Where would we be right now if the series had remained serious and gritty, like Raiders, instead of going off into kind of fun adventure zone with Crusade?
That's maybe we'll find out.
That's an excellent question. I think it would be.
I think it'd be better, like if Indy's like tired and haggard, and it's gritty. I think that could be amazing. Like older Indy is this tired, world-weary guy, and he's got to deal with all this stuff, but it's dark and gritty. Could be amazing. Like it seems like that would have worked to his strengths as an older guy at this point.
I mean, as we're recording this, the latest we've heard is that Indy 5 is going to come out someday, and it's going to be directed not by Steven Spielberg, but by James Mangold, who, I'm breathing a bit of a sigh of relief because I don't think Steven Spielberg is going to bring that kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say weight to it, but I think the new guy is going to treat it with a little bit more, I don't know, realism, like action-y realism, I don't know. I like Logan. I thought that was a good movie.
Steven Spielberg, if you're listening to this, I'm not with them.
Well, let me ask you
Maybe
this.
These guys aren't with me. I don't know.
When we think about like an Indiana Jones movie and how these were promoted and how they came out, like the one came out at Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Didn't it? Okay. Last Crusade, was it?
Oh,
okay, and then
it was
summer.
They're all summer.
Summer. They're all summer. Whatever the hell. They're all summer. Yeah. So they're huge blockbusters.
Point stands. Doesn't matter.
They're all big, like family. Like grab your dad and dad, grab your kids. We're all going to go see the new Indiana Jones movie.
Everybody grab each other.
Grab each other. Yeah. So
on the knees.
I'm wondering if we had a darker movies, are there darker movies that were also summer blockbusters? Like, but they had a grittiness and to your point, Curtis, where would we have been? Like, I know they went for the big summer Hollywood bash thing and New Coke and whatever the hell else. And you go, fine, that's cool. That was their choice. But are there big, huge, massive summer blockbusters that are also kind of dark and grittier and nasty, other than obviously Raiders, maybe
Gremlins?
I don't know, Jaws? Well, but Jaws, we always say that was like the first summer blockbuster, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it has to. Let's not include Jaws.
There aren't really gritty summer blockbusters. There aren't. They kind of, everybody's been, what's the right word? Everybody's been evolving to become Marvel movies since the 80s. Mm-hmm. It's just that in the 80s, they still had enough self-respect to not just all be a bunch of sarcastic people just throwing one-liners at each other. There was still some character development, and they still did things. They still felt like real people.
Interesting.
I feel like there's a really good example, like a really good answer to this question, but I can't think of like a good example.
Wrath of Khan a dark, gritty blockbuster?
It was fun, but it was kind of...
it is. I mean, the dude gets the worm in the ear.
Creatures in our bodies to control our minds.
Yeah, that was really dark stuff. That scared me when I was a kid. When I was that age.
And we brought up this whole show is coming back to me because I remember bringing up Star Trek 2 like 7 or 8 times in the first week of the show or something, because that was like you got your aging hero who you've known since he was a young man, and he's feeling his age and everything, and that movie handled that aspect I think a lot better than this one does with this guy.
Yeah.
Well, I've got one thing to leave you guys with if you're wrapping up. If that's the case, I want you to just listen to the background of this minute, and then later on when you get to it, I want you to ask yourselves, where did the party go?
Oh, interesting. I hadn't noticed
because there's clearly 100 people outside getting drunk and having fun and
yeah,
dancing.
Yeah.
And they all passed out at once.
And they all.
And then as soon as they walk out of the tent, nowhere to be seen.
So maybe when Indy's looking into the skull, it's like a whole time warp thing. Like he's been looking at it for 6 hours.
Weird.
That is a good question.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bizarre edits like that don't really work in the like kind of cuts. Like there's a few there's a shot in this scene that I was like it was a little bit disjointed. Like kind of in the middle of the conversation. And again, I don't know anything about movies.
I do hope Steven Spielberg is listening to this.
I don't. I mean, if I notice it, it's egregious. That's my point. Right. That's what I'm saying. It's I'm not usually one for the cinematography and all that. Look at the lighting and all that. So, speaking of egregious. This just in from Professor Chrissy Porter. Which is sexier, knees or dentists?
Wow. Wait a minute. What? Wait a minute.
Wow.
Is she referencing the chair, or is she referencing me? Like, was she precogging me referencing the Marathon Man?
Oh, that's Professor Chrissy
very
Porter.
Powerful.
Yes, she is.
She is Stalin's dream.
She's got her own crystal skull. That's true.
Stalin's fair-haired girl.
And it does say here, everyone has to answer. Don't let them out.
Oh, before we go around the answers, I just want to say, guys, I always thought this was a bit or a gag. I was shocked to see that you actually have a telegraph machine with this coming in. That was
absolutely.
I was not expecting.
Please tell everybody. Spread the word.
Wow. No one ever is.
We should be filming this.
Yeah. Partially, Jerry's been a very slow technology adopter.
So wait, what are our options?
I definitely have an answer.
What is
I'll
sexier?
go last.
Okay.
Yeah. What is sexier, knees or dentists?
I'm gonna just say knees.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought knees, but knees compared to
knees. I'm going to say knees too.
Okay. I'm going to say knees.
See, when she asked this, I was thinking like, I don't know how many people, nobody knows me. I'm also a photographer. Having a nice smile is a lot better than having knobby knees. Knobby knees can be fixed. A nice smile, you're just kind of stuck with it.
Wow. That's not a bad point.
Yeah.
I think a good smile, if that's what she's talking about, I think a good smile is way sexier than knees, than nice knees.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
Well, that's one thing we figured out during this minute. Curtis, thank you so much for joining us. This has been awesome.
It was a pleasure. I can't believe I'm on the show. This is great.
Oh, awesome. No, we love having you here. You've been a super fan for years and years. And we finally got you on here. But you've got stuff you got irons in the fire. Where can people look for you? Your upcoming or maybe it's ongoing now? I'm not sure. Time means nothing with these podcasts.
Time means doubly nothing in the movie Time Bandits. We are
That's true.
Which we are covering minute by minute. My Duncan and I are. We're recording. We don't know when we're going to release it. It could be January of 2022, excuse me. Or it could be in July of 2022. Or of 2021, excuse me.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on the same schedule.
Things seem to be going pretty smoothly, so we might release it sooner than later. We'll see what happens.
If he's good, and he created you. That scene always blew my mind. Yeah. There's so many scenes in that movie that
don't ruin it. I've never seen it.
It sounds like you're calling that minute.
I don't know if I want to watch it again. So Pete hasn't seen it, so we won't talk. We won't discuss it. I was going to have some questions, but if Pete hasn't seen it, then go for it.
Oh, maybe it's okay if it's spoiled. Maybe I don't want to watch it.
I don't know. It's good.
God, you guys! I can't believe this. You have to watch it. It's brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't believe you guys are the age you are and haven't seen it.
They do that British thing, where it's just if you're American, you're like, kind of weird, man.
Maybe that's normal for British people, but
I know. I'm just kind of glad we did that whole 1776 thing. I'm not getting this.
That wasn't working out.
I mean, I don't want to go down a whole nother rabbit hole where we talk for another half hour, but it was the American guy that directed that.
That is true. Well, he's sort of an expat, wasn't he? He was kind of...
Yeah, he was definitely.
Like full on Monty Python and everything. But still, I love that movie. So everybody, find... no matter when it is, go look up, what is it just called? Time Bandits Minute? That's the name?
Boy, I don't know if I can't remember right now if it's Time Bandit Minutes. Nope, that can't be right. Time Bandits Minute. That sounds right. .com.
Okay. Yeah. Check it out. And if they're not there now, they will be soon.
Tom is definitely going to be on there for a week, I think.
Yeah, I'm locked in. Yeah.
We're going to talk about Dad James Bond there.
That's appropriate. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, check that out. Keep looking for that for when that comes out. And please, we will be back here next week with minute 60 of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
That skull is no mere deity, darling.
I'm always glad to help.
No. My knees itch.